Okay.
Okay, so welcome back. Sugar addicts, how was your week? Did everybody do their homework?
I did.
Yes? Okay, good. Good. All right, so what we're gonna do today is start out first by sharing. Let's do some sharing of things that we've sort of reflected on. But before we do that, I want well, I guess we should wait. Let's do some small talk. Give everybody at least a minute before we get in here.
Okay.
Any sugar indulgences today? Anybody have any sweet treats today?
No.
No last minute going out and buying bricks of chocolate this week? No. That was just last week, right? No.
Yeah.
Tamed it down a little bit, huh? Okay. All right. So did you guys feel a little bit more aware of your sugar indulgences, at least as you were getting through the week? Did logging help?
Yes.
Okay, so let's just kind of go through, and I guess as people jump in, they can add on a little bit later. So what I'd like everybody to do is, if everybody could, and we can just kind of go in order. I'm sure we're not seeing everybody in the same screen order, but I'll call people by name. That way there's no confusion. Share with me a sweet indulgence that you caved to, and share with me a sweet attack that you were able to diffuse because of a tactic that you were able to use from class last week. Okay, so I'll go first. So a sweet treat that I indulged to was I did have a piece of birthday cake, but it was allowed because it was birthday cake. And it was definitely worth it. But I measured it out just like good old Irene Fashion would, and it was pathetically so wrong for the calories, because I had it, I looked at the box, it was this big, look. It was the size of this, and it was 230 calories.
Oh, yeah.
It was one of those, a sixth of this is 230, I cut it, and I literally went, not worth it. So my point is, paying attention to the calories made me not eat more, because normally I would have for sure had half of that brick, for sure. So, and then a sweet indulgence that I stayed away from. I have a problem. It's gotten better since my sugar addiction has gotten better, but eating, kind of hard to admit this, but that's why we're here, right? Eating straight jelly out of the jar.
Yeah.
Hey, with the spoon. Like that would be my little, like, just I needed to have something sweet, and I haven't done that in so long. And the other day, I don't know, I just saw it in there, and it was a raspberry with the chunks, and I almost went to do it, and I stopped myself and thought, this is what's going to start it all up again, because one delightful experience of that would have created, an offset of more of it. So those are mine. Okay, so let's see. Right underneath me is Julie.
Oh, hello. So what was things that one thing I did wrong was we were having s'mores, and I said, I don't need one. But of course the chocolate was left open, so I kept just taking little pieces, what I usually do. And I think I ended up having like a full candy bar by the time the night was done. But I do love sugar, and I love peanut butter. I think I mentioned this to you before. So I'm trying to just replace some. I mean, I still have my peanut butter snacks, like especially in the afternoon, I want something sweet, but I'm trying to replace like different snacks with my sugary ones. like Greek yogurt with different fruits, etc.
Okay, perfect. So that's good. So you didn't have the peanut butter?
I'm trying to have less of it. I'm
Right.
letting myself have it like, because I used to have it for breakfast and then each snack. So I'm basically just trying to have it like my afternoon snack with like the rice cake, the Laughing Cow cheese, mixed in.
Perfect. Okay, good. And I'm just kind of jotting down notes so that I don't forget to share things when we're done. So, okay. So underneath, let's see, we have Kathy.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we went to a car show and on Sunday, and they had all these vendors, and they had these wonderful looking cupcakes that had chocolate and peanut butter. So I wanted to share one with John, and he wanted one of his own. So I said, okay, I'll get one. I only ate half of it, which I felt better about, because I looked at the calories and it was 280 when I looked it up. So I only had 140.
That's very good.
But there were all these other vendors, and there was ice cream and, a bunch of other things we didn't have. So I felt better about that.
Good.
But it seems like when I'm in a situation where there's other people eating it, that's kind of my downfall. If I'm home by myself, I don't tend to do it as much.
Okay.
Like I'm with a grandchild. I had an ice cream cone this week because she kept saying, well, let's have this. She's, well, ice cream cone at Dairy Queen isn't that bad.
Okay. And that's actually on the list. So. Good.
But I found out how bad it was when I put down the carbs and the sugar.
You looked up the ice cream cone?
Mhm.
Yeah. How bad?
63 carbs and 25 sugar.
Wow.
I know.
Okay. So interesting. I saw her husband today, and he told me the same cupcake story,
Mhm.
except he said he thought that the cupcake was 1,200 calories.
1,200? No.
That's what he said.
I told him when I looked it up, it wasn't that much. It was a small cupcake, and he didn't look it up. I don't know where he got
No.
1,200.
He did say that you looked it up and that you logged it. So
yeah,
he was good. Okay, Vicky.
I did have a s'more this weekend or this week. And I was shocked when I logged. I didn't realize how many carbs were in a marshmallow.
Salt, sugar.
So, and of course I put 3 of them on there. So I did that. And then how I had a craving actually today for something sweet. But what I did is I grabbed a couple olives. And I ate a couple olives and walked out of the house.
Okay, good.
To distract myself. So
the olives had to have completely twisted your palate.
It did. But you know what? I think it worked for me. So
Yeah,
I thought, okay,
that's really good. So
yeah.
good. All right, John.
Oh, I've had a couple run-ins with my Dove, little chocolate things, couple days.
Okay.
And I had a tooth pulled on Friday, so I've not done anything.
You saw my brother? My brother.
He was on vacation, so I've not eaten much at all.
Oh.
I eat chocolate and it hurts so bad that it's a good way to quit eating chocolate.
Yep.
I don't want to have a tooth pulled. Thank you.
Yeah. I sent him to my brother. Who pulled your tooth, John?
Somebody here in Algonquin.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, Lindsay.
Hey, well, I figured out that one of my triggers is when my husband goes out for the night, like to a Bucks game or whatever, And then my daughter's asleep, and I'm like, ooh, free for all, woo. So, so Wednesday, right? No, I lost all my days. I've been sleeping well, but like okay, so I guess like Sunday, the last Bucks game, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have sweet, but I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna have like a little Weight Watchers fudge bar. And so I went to get a Weight Watchers fudge bar. And then I was like, this would be like really good with some magic gel on it. And so I put some magic gel on it. And so that was my
Okay.
sweet treat. But it's definitely like when like he says he's gonna go somewhere, it's like definitely like there's a ding in my head. Ooh, like sugar. Like it's like
the
definitely
opposite.
strong sugar.
Yeah, so it's the opposite of Kathy's when you're alone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Yeah.
actually, that's on the trigger list, so.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Okay, oh, we skipped around, sorry. Danielle.
So I can definitely sympathize with what Lindsay said. I get that like ping in my head, like, oh, I can like kind of do what I want when no one's here, but so last week when we met, I actually like started out really well. I was like planning out my snacks. Like I make the Get You Fit nighttime pudding, like, after I clean up dinner so that it's like ready for me at night. And I started doing that. And then my husband and I went grocery shopping and we got snacks for the kids, and Oreos was on that list. And Irene, Oreos is my culprit. It's my, what is it? I don't know. Yeah, it's just, that's my drug. I figured out when the kids have snacks, I have like this, I don't even know if this is on your list, but like this fear of missing out on enjoying the treats too. So I wanted to indulge with them. And then it just kind of spiraled. I did log most of my days, or over the weekend, some of my meals I didn't log, but I have figured this out a long time ago that I need to if I plan ahead, if I log ahead of time, I am more likely to stay on track.
Yep. And of course, seeing it is always gonna help, and no, the enjoying it with kids and grandkids isn't on the list, but I put it on the list. But logging is, so thank you for bringing that up. So who do we have next? I'm kind of jumping around. I think the order of the names skipped around. I never noticed that before. So I've lost track. Who hasn't spoken yet? Janice?
Yeah, hi. For me, I'm really good all day. People can have treats at work. That stuff doesn't bother me. My thing is always after dinner, and I really think it's a mental thing. Like, I have done so good all day long. I always deserve a treat after dinner. So that's my trigger. That is only after supper, thinking I need something sweet. If I wait long enough, it will pass. But if I have stuff in the house, like frozen yogurt has kind of been my late treat, I guess, that I've had lately. So I just made sure I didn't buy any when I went to the grocery store. If it's not here, the moment will pass if I don't cave. So it's just waiting it out. So sometimes if I just like stay in my lazy boy, which I am right now, and I just think about all the things that I want to eat and, ooh, what treat should I pick? And then it passes and then I go to bed.
Did you just like buckle yourself in?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And logging, I will say logging definitely works, because even if you have room for some calories, right? It's if you don't like measure or log, like half a cup of frozen yogurt is not very much, right? And if you're not measuring, then you easily overdo it. And the other thing is the kids thing. I agree with that one. It's my daughter's super healthy eater. She's never been a treat. My son likes snacks, so I do buy him treats. Typically I don't eat them, but if he's eating sweet tarts in front of me, oh, just give me a couple. But he's pretty good. He's like, no, mom, like, and he'll take them and go downstairs. So yeah. But after dinner is definitely the only, like, probably time of the day that I really struggle with the sugar.
So timing of the day. Yep.
Yeah.
Julie, did you talk yet? No.
Sorry. Yes, I did.
Oh, you did, okay. Kristen,
Hi.
Hi.
So I'm not a big ice cream eater, but this weekend at Whole Foods, all their ice cream was on sale, like big sale. And I have always wanted to try that Jenny's ice cream, and it's really expensive, but because it was on sale, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna buy a pint and finally try it. And it was so good. But the last 3 days, I've had ice cream after dinner, the same thing, like something kind of, sweet, and this will be a nice little treat for me for doing well during the day. And so I kind of am like, what am I doing? I'm on a sugar, kicking sugar program here. And I like ate this like Jenny's ice cream that I've always wanted to try. So that was kind of like, even my husband's like, wait, aren't you on this sugar thing? I'm like, okay, I'm like, it's okay though. We're just learning right now. It's okay. Yeah. So that kind of was my big downfall. But one thing though that I really have been trying to be good about is when it comes to my creamer in the morning, I just like pour, so I've been like, okay, I'm going to really start to measure this. And so I really have cut back on my creamer because of course I do like the sweet, creamers. Like I try to get the ones that are like oat milk, but they still are like vanilla oat milk or something like that, or hazelnut oat milk. But having actually tablespoon it out and put it into my coffee, once I started to do it how I liked it, it was like, oh my God, like that was just like 16 grams of sugar, I was like, holy crap.
Yep.
And then, so now that I'm like, okay, I can get away with even just like 2 in my coffee. Like that was sort of, and I was kind of like, I would measure my creamer farther. I'm like, oh, I kind of know what I'm doing, and then I just kind of would slowly get back to like, probably like, half a cup of creamer and like a cup of coffee. So that really, I've been really trying to cut back on that, to kind of be aware of it and really try to get, my husband's even like, you just have to start drinking your coffee black. I'm like, I can't drink this black coffee. It's so bitter. So trying to even just get more coffee, less creamer flavor, I'm getting used to it. So I'm really trying to cut back on that, and definitely measuring it for sure and logging it was eye-opening. And also was like 150 calories of just creamer in the morning, so it was like, oh, that's not good. So that's been really kind of good, that I really have kind of gotten that under control.
Good. And that coffee creamer, it's a shoe-in. It's the first thing I zero in on when someone joins the program and I see coffee cream and they have, 35 calories. I'm like, no way. No way. I mean, unless they're just, that's like such a minuscule amount. And so, and I'll talk about that during the presentation. So, and then, is it Frenchie, your name? We can't hear you. We can't, can you hear us? Still nothing. Ah, play around with it. Maybe we'll get you. But you can, as long as you can hear us. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay. Let me see here. It shows. Okay. All right. So try one more time. Can you try talking now? Nope. Nothing yet. Gotta be some weird setting. Okay, so all the things that you guys talked about are perfect, and every single one of them pointed toward one thing. And whether or not you guys realize what it pointed toward awareness. You are all totally aware of what you're doing. We're all aware of what we're doing. We're all aware of the fact that we are eating sugar. We're aware of the fact that we're taking in too much. We're lying to ourselves. We're miscalculating. We're buying things at the grocery store when we shouldn't. I mean, every one of you, I don't know how many there are of us here today, 10. As I'm listening to you all, I personally can tell you that I experienced every single thing that you guys all said in one form or another, meaning the at the grocery store. I don't remember which one of you said, Janice, why she as long as she doesn't buy the yogurt. Why do we do that? Why do we buy the Oreos when you know it's a trigger? You know, why do we take our kids places when we know it's our default? Why do we, you know, we all do it. We set ourselves up for the failure. You're all aware that you do better when you measure or when you log something, but yet we all have times where we don't, because that creates this downfall, and it puts us in this zone of danger. Now, Kathy, with the cupcake, you looked at it, you saw what it was worth, you divided it in half. That's a perfect example of you portioning it out and eating it the right way. And even in my example with the cake, and anybody else that looked at something and portioned it out. But when we're not being careful and we're not you know, doing a project for this class, we're just pouring the coffee creamer in. We're just cutting the cake in half and eating it. We're not paying attention. So imagine on a normal daily occasion, how many grams of sugar and calories are being consumed without us even realizing it. So out there in the world right now, people sitting down at dinner tables, just scooping and splashing and drizzling, and it's astronomical. And that is the biggest thing that is going to save you, is just that, that awareness, and just always being in front of that and being stronger than that will that you have to look away, because that desire to look away and that desire to be in denial is what sets you back. I mean, we all have the capabilities to have what the nutritional value is. And I didn't tell any of you not to have it. I just told you all to check it. Vicki, you had the s'mores. I think you said you had it, right?
Yeah, I did.
And you were surprised to see how much sugar was in the marshmallows, right? Well, now that you know, you can make a s'more, maybe have it with one marshmallow. You know, I mean, so all those little things of being aware are gonna save you in the end, because that lack of awareness causes us to overindulge, which causes that addiction to escalate. Okay, so that's one of the biggest factors. So keep that in mind, and we're going to kind of build off of that. The next biggest factor is triggers. You all know what your triggers are. You absolutely all know what your triggers are. If you wanted to be good, if you were setting yourself up for complete success, and you did not want to sabotage yourself in any way, you would not put yourself in the situation of being anywhere near a trigger. You would walk away from it. There's no way. Your kids would beg you, Mom, take me here, and you would come up with the most creative plan to deviate from that situation so that you wouldn't be in that position. But when we are feeling that demise, and we're feeling like we are behind that 8 ball, we bring it onto ourselves. We are the ones that say, hey kids, let's go to Dairy Queen. You know, hey kids, you know, we are in control of that. So with the triggers, try to minimize them as much as you can. And so we're going to take the two things. We're going to take triggers that you're aware of, I'm gonna expose you to common triggers that you probably already know are out there, but I'm gonna bring them to the surface. And then I'm gonna put them with the awareness factors that we discussed, and see how we can put these into play and see how that'll make a difference, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'm gonna quick share my screen. And this week I didn't do a PowerPoint, I just did just a little sheet. But before we start, I have a little quiz for you guys to take. So you don't really need a piece of paper. You can count on your fingers. It's a quick little quiz, but you just have to take it mentally and keep score. And I think that the highest score you can score on this is like 15. So I will read the questions and you just keep score. If you have paper to keep track of your points, that might be better so you don't get confused. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to answer these questions and you're going to give yourself a score of either 1, 2, or 3, depending on what you answer. Okay. So first question, when do you crave something sweet? 1 point if it's every now and then, but never daily. 2 points if it is usually only in the mid-afternoon or evening. And then 3 points if it is all day long. So craving, meaning you are seeking it out, you want it. You are thinking about it. Need to have chocolate, need to have candy. Sweet. Okay, here's 4. 2, how would you describe your daily energy levels? 1, constant and stable level of energy throughout the day. 2, you experience that mid-afternoon energy crash. 3, you are lethargic after large meals. 4. Number 3, how do you describe your weight loss success? 1, able to lose weight easily and sufficiently when you put your mind to it. 2, you find it difficult to lose no matter what you do. And 3, you gave up a long time ago. Four, how often do you experience minor or severe headaches? 1, almost never. 2, a few times a week. 3, almost daily or daily. 5, do you experience frequent mood swings? Be honest. 1, what would your spouse say? Or what would your significant other or friend say? What would your coworker say? No, my mood is fairly constant. 2, yes, I find mood swift, but nothing crazy. And then 3, you can't help it. 6, do you find yourself craving sweets after dinner or before bed? 1, 2, 3, never, sometimes, always. There should be a 4 there. 4, absolutely, 100%. 7, what is your relationship with an open package of sweets? 1, I can have just 1 and put the package away. 2, sometimes I forget that they're even in the pantry. And 3, I can't just have 1. If it's open, I have to finish the package. 8, how often do you consume sugary foods like cookies, ice cream, candies, pastry, or sweet treats? So if what you're eating that's sugary isn't on this list, but it's considered a sweet treat, just qualify it as a sweet treat. 1, just a few times a month or never. 2, a couple times a week, or 3, daily. Same question to artificial sweeteners. 1, a few times a month or never. And this includes everything: Splenda, stevia, monk fruit, anything artificial. 2 a couple times a week, 3 daily. How often do you consume soda or sweet tea? And this includes diet. 1, a few times a month or never. 2, a couple times a week. 3, daily. Okay, add up your points. All right. If you are between 10 and 13. Do I want to put you guys, I won't put you guys on the spot. 10 to 13. Your relationship with sugar is healthy, balanced, and you're pretty good. Anybody fall in there? Nobody? Okay, so that's our goal. That's our goal. 14 to 19, sugar doesn't control you, but you enjoy an occasional treat or indulgence. The idea of eliminating sugar altogether is a tough one, but when you enjoy it on occasion, it prevents you from feeling deprived. Keep doing what you're doing. So anybody in this range?
Yep.
Yep.
Most of you?
Mm.
Okay. 20 or over? Anybody want to share if you are?
Yeah,
Okay.
I am.
Okay, hey, that's fine. Like most Americans, you consume more sugar than you should, and it may, whether consciously or not, control many parts of your life. If you regularly consume sugary, non-nutritious foods like ice cream, bakery goods, candy, soda, fancy coffee, drinks, you'll immediately notice positive changes when you eliminate these items. So, couple things. One, any idea what the average amount of sugar intake, and this is average, which means there's people that are way over this and there's people that are way under this, consumption of sugar is in the United States a year in pounds? So you guys have seen at the store a 5-pound bag of sugar, right? It was like this. So the average American, keep in mind, average means there's people that go way over that. And then there's people that go way under. 160 pounds is the average American. And that number has not changed in years. It's been like in the 150s, 160s, 170s for years and years and years and years. Because of the hidden sugars. There's so many things that have sugar in them that you don't even realize. And we're not even talking about those. We're not talking about the ketchups, and we're not talking about the teriyaki sauces, and we're not talking about all of the things that are sugar loaded that aren't candy and sweets. We're not talking about raisins and apples and, you know, fruits. We're just talking about sweet treats right now. So if you accumulate all of that, more than likely, because you fell into that category of that mid-range 14 to 19, it's more than likely that you consumed about 100-ish, 50 pounds of sugar last year and the year before and the year before. And that's such a scary statistic, but it is true, and you could look it up, you could Google it, it'll come up over and over and over again. So it's very frightening, and that lines up with the rates of diabetes and obesity, and the list goes on. So it's very eye-opening. It's very eye-opening, and again, that goes back to last week when we talked about how we're just so conditioned. You know, sugar is what we're conditioned to do when we are right out of the gate. When we reward, it's sugar. And that's not that it's bad, but we need to kind of keep an eye on that so that it's not always sugar. All right, so I'm gonna go back to the screen share, and I want to talk about triggers now. because this is where the awareness is going to really come in. So there's all different types of triggers. I know when I talk the word triggers, and when I've talked the word triggers before, people assume that a trigger is when you see something, it makes you want to eat it. But there's all different types of triggers. There's physical triggers, there's emotional triggers. So first off, there's a physical trigger to sugar, and that is simply when your blood sugar spikes. And I think most of you guys know, and a lot of you are in my program, know this. If you eat one piece of candy and you tell yourself all day long, I'm only going to have one. You can tell yourself all day long, and there could be just one in your house. You eat that one, and it is going to cause your blood sugar to spike. And it is going to build up in your bloodstream, and it is going to make you want sugar. That's a trigger. That's a physical trigger. You can't control that. So just knowing that is something that you should be aware of. And so I just have to ask you all, because to me, this is kind of like a basic knowledge point. Are you all aware that if you eat just a little sugar, that causes this sugar spike and will cause you to want to eat more? And it's not that your taste buds are going and you're wanting more because it tastes good. It is physiological. You can't control it. And when you have that gnawing urge to rip open a cereal box and find the marshmallows at the bottom, I'm only talking from experience. It's because you are ravenously looking for sugar to fulfill that physical desire to eat it. So just knowing that having it is going to set that off. So be aware of that when you are putting things on your salad, such as craisins, such as salad dressings, such as fruits that aren't candies, that aren't the delicate treats that we're talking about, that are okay to have. Like Kristen said, the sugar in her coffee creamer. That's an innocent thing that you can add to your coffee, but that might set off that spike that is going to cause her to want to eat sugar all day long. Who was it that said, Janice, that said that the after dinner was like the big hard trouble point for her. I would re-examine what you're eating for dinner. Not that you're eating sugar for dinner, but maybe somewhere in your dinner, there is something that's higher in sugar than, it smells like it's burning down here. Hang on a second. Maybe there's a salad dressing, a barbecue sauce, like I said, craisins, a fruit, something in there that is creating the spike that is causing you to really want it. That, and it's habitual, like you said. The fact that you said, and many of you say that urge goes away, that is your glucose levels coming back down. Glucose levels come back down, that urge goes away. You don't want it anymore. You wait it out. So if you are strong enough to wait it out, then you're good. But that's the big question. Can you wait it out? So that is one thing to be aware of. And so don't fool yourself when you are going to just have one piece of Dove chocolate there, Don, because that's another thing we do is we buy little bitsy pieces of things, thinking that we're just going to eat one instead of a large candy bar, but that sets us off and creates that spike that causes us to want to eat more. All right, so signs of high sugar consumption. Again, you all know this, but I want to bring this to your awareness. Increased hunger and weight gain. Clearly, you're going to gain weight if you increase your sugar intake. You're going to be irritable. You're going to have less energy and be more fatigued. And I want to explain why. When your blood sugar spikes up, you're going to have more energy. It's like the kid that has had too much sugar that's running around, right?
Irene?
Yeah.
Irene, I don't know about anybody else, but all I see on my screen is a candy bouquet.
I was about to ask the
Ad.
same thing. Yeah.
Me too.
I don't
Yeah,
know if you're sharing the right thing.
Just wondering if you were just trying to taunt us.
There we go.
Yeah, right. This is like
There you
just
go.
a tease.
You didn't really miss anything. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. I wish I could see what you guys see. Anyways, so the fatigue and low energy. When you eat sugar, you obviously have a rise in energy, but what goes up must come down, and then you crash. So that middle of the day lull that you might be feeling is not you being old. It's not you not having enough sleep. It's not you having low iron, or it's you having too much sugar. And I could tell you that this one here, the fatigue and low energy, is what got me to stop eating sugar. I was having such terrible mid-afternoon crashes that I was not able to keep my eyes open in the middle of the day. I would have to build a nap time in, back when I was a personal trainer, in the middle of my day, for real, because I was so fatigued. And I blamed everything in the world for that. I blamed the 4 kids, I blamed the active lifestyle, I blamed the early hours, blah, blah, blah. It was the sugar. And it took one book of me reading it and me realizing all of the sugar that I was eating. And as soon as I got it out, instantly, the day I took it out, I did not crash. I did not need a nap. I was shocked. I went through quite a detox, but it was worth it, because now I do not have those lulls in the day. So that in itself is worth it. Foods don't taste sweet enough anymore. Just like the example with the coffee creamer. You know, you add a little, then you need to add a little more, and then you need to add a little bit more. And that is always what happens. I had someone today ask me if she could use honey to sweeten her tea, and she's got beehives. And I said, you have to measure it, because we all know what's going to happen. It's going to be a drizzle that's going to turn into a big heaping tablespoon, because we lose the sensitivity of what that tastes like. We crave sweets all the time now. This goes back to that physical desire. You taste sweet, you want sweet. And then of course, the high blood pressure, the acne, the physical effects of joint pain, and on and on. So these are all reasons that you might be eating too much, and things that you'll notice right away will be out of the spectrum when you give it up. And as hard as it is to give it up, and I wrote this down because somebody said earlier, I really need something sweet. And I hear that all the time. I need something sweet, but I need something sweet. And my advice to you is to look at this list and say, you need to have better energy. You need to be less fatigued. You need to have better health, better blood pressure. I mean, these are all reasons of things that you need. You really don't need to have something sweet. You think you need to have something sweet because you are used to it. So keep that in mind, because right now you need it because you are used to having it. All right, so trigger foods. Trigger foods are those that are eaten that make you crave it possibly even more. So again, the Oreos, someone brought up, these are usually foods that are eaten out of habit, not necessarily hunger. And these foods usually are something that make you feel addicted to sugar. And they're usually not nutritional. Can someone blurb out a trigger food that they have that is something they know if they eat one of, it's going to offset them and cause them to eat a ton of? Mine's Oreos,
Chocolate.
chocolate, no matter what, even if it's crappy chocolate.
Yeah. Well, I don't like dark chocolate, so just any chocolate.
Okay. Anyone else?
Dark chocolate.
Okay. Ice cream, anyone? No. Okay, so you're aware of it. You are aware of it. I know if I have one Oreo, I'm done. I know if I have ice cream, I'm fine. So when you want to have that reward, because someone said I want to enjoy, I think Danielle said I want to enjoy some time with my kids. I feel like I want to have a treat with my kids. That's simple. Don't pick a trigger food. Don't pick a food that you know is going to set you off. And it's not the worst thing in the world. There's still plenty of foods out there that you can enjoy. I'm not asking you to eat a bowl of broccoli while they're eating, a cupcake. But in the beginning, as you're trying to get yourself away from this, you want to avoid the foods that are going to trigger you. And they're always going to be the highest in calorie, and they're always going to be non-nutritious. They're not going to be good for you. So the top trigger foods are, of course, candy, salty snacks, sweet drinks, fried foods, and baked treats. And don't you love how all of these are all just crappy foods? Now, there are some good trigger foods. I mean, I'm triggered by good foods. I know that I could eat hummus and that will trigger me to eat the whole bowl, and that's not necessarily good either. But since we're talking about sugar, and since we're talking about what triggers you with sugar, these are things that you need to be aware of. And you need to kind of stay away from them. So whenever you are eating something that's super sugary, super salty, super fatty, the dopamine neurons in your brain, which are right here, basically become very active. And I've talked about this in the last presentation, but basically what happens is those are the feel-good neurotransmitters, and they are going to encourage you to eat that again. And basically, you are kind of under the spell of these neurotransmitters. These neurotransmitters are the same neurotransmitters that we produce when we exercise. So those of you that are here that love to exercise know what that feels like. The same neurotransmitters we get when we listen to music, anything that's pleasurable. So it's not like we don't ever get that. But it's so much easier received with this type of food. All right, so emotional triggers. These are some reasons why we get triggered. And you guys named them. Nobody names stress and anxiety, but we all know that that's a big one. Boredom, when we're by ourselves, childhood habits, social eating, that one came up quite a bit. We feel like we have to eat when we are together with friends. That is one that I can tell you is so easily extinguished. You don't have to eat when you're with friends. You can eat, you don't have to eat a lot. So let's pair this together. You're with friends, it's a social setting, you're going to be triggered. What if you don't have the food that triggers you? Will you be triggered as much? You're not going to be triggered as much. So let's put you in a situation. You're in a social setting, and there is ice cream there, but that doesn't trigger you. You're not going to get thrown off. If you're in a social situation, you're at the party and you bring your favorite treat that you are in control of, you are going to get thrown off. So do you see how you are somewhat in control of the social situation? So oftentimes we think that we can't attend social gatherings, or we shouldn't attend social gatherings, or we shouldn't eat anything at all at social gatherings. you can, but try not to bring your trigger foods that are going to set you off. Questions so far? All right, so environmental triggers, and these I'm not going to read to you, but these are, I'm going to send this to you, but these are all things that you can set yourself up with for success, and they're basically things that will keep you from grabbing at the wrong food. Clearly, if you're going to buy cookies and put them in the cookie jar, what do you suppose is going to happen? You're more than likely going to eat the cookies. You know, if you have kids and you need to have cookies for them in the house, and you're trying to extinguish this behavior, putting them in the cookie jar is not something that has to be done in your house. You can have the trigger foods put away. So what I want you to do right now is think about your environment. Think about your house right now. Take a quick second and think. Where in your house right now is there a situation where you would get triggered by a food or a food item because of a setup? So maybe it's the candy dish, maybe it's the box of cookies, maybe it's, think about your situation. Maybe it's in the refrigerator. Where are, and I'll leave this up here for you to read, where in the environment, it could be work, it could be your office, could be your family's house. Do you notice an environmental trigger? Anybody share?
I think one that I would face is like a social gathering, like you said, if I didn't pre-plan and
Okay.
I'm starving, right? And nothing there is options that I would have pre-planned. Like that would be a downfall for me. Once I hit that, you know, I'm starving, I'll eat anything and it doesn't
Yep.
matter right now.
Yep.
That's probably a biggest one for me.
So in that case, of course, planning would be huge because you'd
Yeah.
want to make sure that you had eaten something. If you've gotten there and you haven't eaten, then you're kind of in trouble.
Yeah.
Unless you can scrounge some, you know, tuna fish or something out of there, you know, but you put yourself in the situation of being hungry and then in front of a trigger food, then you're in trouble. But if you were right now, if we were to hang up with this call and go off into your environment, and you're hungry and you wander off into your environment, where in your house is there something that would trigger you? I'll share mine. Mine is right in my pantry, exposed, is I have like these things, except instead of dog treats. I have chocolate covered almonds, and they're just sitting in there, and they're in a glass. So that is danger zone for me. Now they don't bother me anymore, which is shocking to me, but that is an environmental trigger. So that's what I'm trying to get you guys to share with me. Where in your house do you have like this danger zone, screaming, come eat me, and you know it should be hidden, put away?
So going back to s'mores, I got those nice containers, you know, the storage containers. We had people over, and so we had one full of granola bars, one full of really cool marshmallows, and one we got the little small Hershey bars.
Yep.
You know, they're little, so I'd have one. They're in our laundry room, have 2, 3. And then my son was doing the same thing. And then my husband, who doesn't like sugar, finally found the container and like hid it from us until our next party. And then it actually helped because, you know, I didn't get the big chocolate bars at the time, just the actual mini ones. But then to me, that was like, oh, it's so tiny. But then you have one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
that's a huge danger, because if you were logging that, you would see that you probably are consuming more, because you know, you're more than likely not going to sit down and eat a large bar, because you know what the calories are of it, but the multiple small ones add up.
Mhm.
Okay, so that would be a trigger. She's got the candy right there exposed, and they're little bars, so they're easy to grab, and okay, so that's she's identified that. Anybody else have a environmental trigger in their house? Where do you go to get your junk?
Mine is a cupboard right by, like I
Okay.
walk to my bedroom, it's by the
Okay.
kitchen, it's right there
Okay.
in my face.
So how many times do you open that cupboard?
Yeah, a lot.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Because I go in my pantry a dozen times a day. More than that, probably. But whether I go into the jar, anyone else? Refrigerator? Up in there. Okay, so what I want you to do, maybe this is too vague. I need to let you out into your environment. What I need you to do is I need you to, and if you have Post-its, great. If you think your family isn't going to make, you know, think you're crazy, but this is really going to work. You need to identify and label, whether it's up to you whether you want to use a Post-it or you want to just mentally do it, or somehow put a sticker on it or label it somehow. You need to mark these environmental triggers in your house somehow, anywhere where you catch yourself grabbing. So Danielle, those cookies, Kristen, whatever it was that you were grabbing at, Kathy, the grandkids, ice cream, Lindsay, the stuff that you eat when your husband goes away, whatever it is, the secret stashes, I need you to put a Post-it or something on there and identify where it is in your house, okay? Because you know where it is. You know where it is. Because the next thing that I'm going to have you do is two things, and this is going to be your activity for the week. You're going to first mark them. This is including work, home, all of your environments. And then secondly, I want you to be aware of how often you catch yourself going to those places, seeking out those items. So for example, if you do the Post-its, and that's really the best way to do it, I am going to put tally marks on how many times I go in to eat a chocolate covered almond, whether I take it, almost take it. It causes me to stop taking it because the Post-it's there. That's the point of the Post-it. Now, am I telling you to not eat it? Not yet. I'm not telling you to not eat it. So Julie, who was it whose husband was teasing him? Not yet. But it might slow you down, okay? But you're gonna do one other thing. You are going to write down the calories of what that is also. So for me and for Julie, how many calories is each one of those little Hershey bars? You're gonna write that down on the Post-it, and it's going to be on that Post-it. So if you are going to grab at the Hershey bar and you don't take it, it's still a tally. If you don't take it, great. But I want to know how many times you grab at it. Keep in mind how many times it keeps you from eating it. You get what we're trying to do? We're trying to extinguish the behavior, because you are robotically going to these areas and you're not even realizing it. And these are actually, you're flagging your triggers. And that is your assignment for this week, is to flag your triggers. And they're all over the place. Now, I can't tell if you were being quiet because you didn't know where the triggers were in your house, or if you just needed time to think about it, or you know, the visual of it. but once you get out there and you see where they all are, keep in mind, I'm talking in the refrigerator, in the cabinet, wherever they are, when you seek yourself going into them, remind yourself, put a Post-it there, something there to remind you of what it is and the calories of it, and then keep track over the week of how often you grab at it. And I'll write this all out so that you'll have an idea. Okay. Questions? Okay. So I just want to go really quick, and I know we're over time. Your log that you kept track of, your 7-day log. Quick observations on that. How did that go? Keeping track of your foods that you ate.
You know, one thing, Irene, I had mentioned to you before, I was trying the low sugar peanut butter. So then when I kind of kept track, I was really shocked how there really wasn't too much. I don't have my log in front of me, but it was like 2 carbs and 1 fat difference or something.
Yep.
It really wasn't, and it really did not taste very good. So that really surprised me. I thought it was such a great thing.
Yeah, it's a total scam, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone else shocked at the grams of sugar when you logged it?
I think it makes you just more aware by logging and looking at different things, not just calories, right?
Yep. Now, did anybody else, and I just have to ask Kristen, is that what caused you to kind of pay attention to the sugar or the coffee creamer?
Yeah, just doing the log, because I know in the past, that's one thing I'm just like, creamer, I think this is what I'm doing. So having to actually measure it, like I said, was just like, oh yeah, it isn't just 1 or 2 tablespoons like you think, like you said, you know, you can't get away with 1. So yeah, that was probably the most eye-opening part.
Absolutely, absolutely. Anybody have a shockingly amount of sugar more than they anticipated when they started counting the grams, the second set of days? Were you way over what you thought? Or were you around what you thought, what you anticipated? Same-ish. Now, anybody notice the days that you started logging? Did that keep you from eating as much?
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Which is a factor, because like Danielle said, she knows when she logs, she doesn't go off track. So the question is, why don't we always log? I mean, we're in control of that, right? That's a hard thing. And it's because we know if we log, we don't get to eat as much. We know when we log, we don't get to have all the extra bites and nibbles and, you know. So again, it's that awareness, it's being in control. And so with this, I am, again, I'm not telling you to not eat them. I just want you to start being aware of how often you are going into the areas for things, because it's mind-boggling. Just like anything else that we don't actually keep track of and count and calculate, you're going to be shocked at how often you go and grab at something, whether you eat it or not. You might be looking for it. Julie, when your husband took away the chocolate, I'd be curious to know how often you went looking for it.
I did go on a search.
Yeah.
One night and didn't find it, but.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's not only the fact that you are wanting it, but we have areas in our house that we are zoned into marching to. Janice, it's her cabinet. No matter what, you're going into that cabinet, and you're seeking it out. So this is building into the next thing of possibly revamping where you put stuff. And I know you're just gonna rebuild habits of that, but being aware of how often and extinguishing. For me, I flat out, and I'm telling you too much now, but the next step is going to be to keep you from even going to the trigger areas. And it will make a big difference. It will make a huge difference. Because instead of getting up and going to the pantry, you're going to find something in the pantry. You're going to, period. If it's not sweets, it's going to be something else. And either way, it's not good. So this is a big activity. So definitely do it. You know, I don't expect you to spend all, you know, the next 7 days doing it. Do it as much as you can. Once you identify the areas that are trigger areas, you put a little notepad or piece of paper or something there, keep a tally. And it'll be interesting to see how often we go into those same spots. So, okay. All righty. Any questions before we go? Okay, so next week, I am going to start, after we meet, I am going to start having you eliminate though, because I know that's why you guys all signed up. So the party's over. I wanted to bring awareness. I wanted to kind of build up some skill sets of how and where and trigger areas and how to extinguish. But just so you know, so you're preparing yourself, next week after we talk about these areas and extinguishing them, I am going to have a 10-day curriculum for you to drop sugar, because I want you to start it and finish it before we end this course. Okay, so that we can kind of go through it together. Okay, and I did not tell you that so that you guys can all go on some sugar binge between now and Tuesday. Okay, so I should have had you guys hooked up to sugar monitors for this. Anyways, all right, you guys. Well, I will see you next Tuesday, and I will. I'll send you a write-up on this with the exact directions on the environmental triggers by the morning. Okay.
All right.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Have a good night.
Bye. See you later.